Welcome, everybody. We have people from different cities joining. So let's take a few minutes for everybody to join. And Konstantina is with us from Amsterdam. Hello, Konstantina.
Hello, Alex.
What is the weather like in Amsterdam today?
It's crazy. We had some sun, then rain, then again a bit of sun, then again rain. So crazy weather.
That sounds like a proper Dutch weather.
Yes.
All right. So welcome everybody. As we have participants from different cities, would be great if you say hi in the chat and just write in from which city are you coming from. So I can write to everybody, hi, Alex, and I'm from Berlin. And to let everybody know, we are recording this meeting. So if you don't like to have your camera on the recording, then please turn the camera off. Welcome, Andrea from Munich. And I see Jörn is joining from the southern Germany and Sami from Helsinki.
Nice.
So again, just to let you know that if you would not like to be in the recording, then feel free, please turn off your video. And we will have some time at the end of the meetup when I will switch off the recording, and then we can turn on our video and sound, and then we can have some chat with Konstantina directly. Okay, perfect. I see that some people are still joining, so let's give a couple of more minutes for everybody to enter the meeting.
Yep.
And I see that Harry is joining from just a little outside of Oslo. Hello, Harry. And Mike is joining from Mannheim, and Sibylle from the south of Munich. Hello, folks. All right. So great. Then let's start. And we have Konstantina with us. Konstantina is a product manager at ING Bank in Amsterdam, and she will talk today about PACE, the innovation methodology that ING has developed. Konstantina, the stage is yours.
So yes, thank you, Alex, for inviting me, and I'm really happy to be here today. Let me share my screen. Let me know when you can see my screen.
A short note before we move on. Please feel free to write your questions in the chat, and I will be asking. So I will be looking at the chat, and I will be sometimes asking Konstantina questions along the way. And also after the presentation, we will have time for the Q&A session, and then I will ask the rest of the questions from the chat.
Yeah, perfect. So hello, everyone. I'm Konstantina, and I'm here today to share what I know about PACE, which is a methodology that we use here at ING in a sense to innovate. A bit about the agenda today, so you know what you're going to hear about. A few things about me and about ING. My journey within PACE methodology. I will explain what PACE is and what is made of. And I will give you some examples of products that they follow PACE, why ING decided to go with PACE, a few things that I wish you will take with you after this presentation. And of course, feel free to ask me anything you want. I will try to answer all your questions. So about me, let me click here. Yes, I'm from Greece. Currently, I live in Netherlands. I'm a product manager at ING. And as you will see from my presentation, I love GIFs. And I have a dog that I really love. His name is Boki. And actually today is his birthday. So he was born 18 of March 2013. And after this presentation, we are going to celebrate his birthday. Now, about ING. ING, it's a Dutch bank, for those who don't know. We serve around 34 million customers with 52,000 employees, and these numbers are worldwide. One interesting fact about ING is the way we want to position ourselves. As our CEO, Raf Harmes, ex-CEO Raf Harmes said many times in the past, we want to be a tech company with a banking license. And why these facts are important? Well, because we are a bank, we are heavily regulated. That means when a law comes, then we need to really comply to that law. Because of these numbers, we need to scale, and our solution needs to scale fast, maybe not to all 34 million customers or to all 52,000 employees, but quite big, large customers. And because we position ourselves as a tech company, it means we need to innovate in order to stay ahead of competition. Now, these things were really interesting to me, and these were main reasons that I applied to ING. And back then I was coming from a startup background. So I thought I knew a lot of things about innovation, a lot of things about how to innovate and how to do things in product management. But when I joined ING, my manager asked me to do a training and follow and understand basically a new framework, a new methodology that we had inside internally at ING. And my first thought was like, really, what else is there to learn, right? Like, I know quite a few stuff. Why I need to, learn and be trained in more? And that's how my journey started with PACE. And if you walk around the ING, you will find posters with a mission of PACE. So PACE basically says, or what we are trying to accomplish with PACE is to transform the way that ING develops new products and services in a way that will bring live relevant solutions and fast to the market. Now, what is PACE made of? If you're familiar with ING, you might read in the past in some articles that ING scaled the Agile Scrum framework. So basically, almost overnight, well, quite fast, they trained their teams into following Scrum methodology. They start hiring Agile coaches to train people. They start training people what is the PO role, what is the Scrum Master role, and all these things. And really that helped ING teams in order to find a rhythm and a discipline in order to deliver products fast. However, one of the important, let's say, roles of a product manager or a product owner is to prioritize and to find the right item to work on next, like the right feature, the right problem to solve. And in order to help the teams to figure out what is the next thing that they need to work on, they introduce the design thinking methodology. And design thinking is both an ideology and a process, basically, that seeks to solve complex problems in a user-centric way. It has a lot of phases: ideation, define the problem or basically the need, and of course, prototype and test. And all this, to all this, you need to have empathy, and you really, really need to understand the customer's needs. So the most important thing to take from design thinking, at least for me, is to really understand who the users are, what are their challenges that they face, and what their needs. It's really important as human beings to understand the person that is going to use something in order to understand his problems, needs, as I said, and what they think and what they feel. So in design thinking, as we say at ING, really empathize with the customers and the users, try to make a list of all kinds of problems you can think that these people will have, and also make a huge list of ideation solutions. And as we say at ING, quantity over quality. So go crazy. For example, let's say you're tackling a problem of commute. Think crazy stuff. Think about ice skating to work, swimming to work, teleportation, really, really crazy stuff. These are really important things. Now, because in the design phase, we generate a lot of problems and a lot of ideas, then the problem was, okay, which problem or idea we pick up first? And that was solved by following the lean startup approach. Lean startup approach, it's all about fast experimentation and validated learning. It's all about picking up one idea, one problem, one solution, and try to do something really small, a small MVP, in order to see how your customers or how the world interacts on that. I'll give you one example, one of my favorite examples. When Dropbox started, they didn't have a product. And also to explain that to people was really difficult. So the founder of Dropbox did something really simple. He went online and he created a website. And then inside that website, he put a video explaining what Dropbox is. What he was trying to test is if people have that problem, the synchronization of files across different devices, and if they understand what the solution he's trying to bring live is. So his challenge was that, okay, I'm going to put this on a website. Are people going to give the email to me? So when the product is ready, then, they can use it. So that was a really smart approach in order to test something with spending almost zero money. And there are other examples, like Zappos did the same thing. I put some links at the end that you could read about these stories. So what is PACE? PACE combines design thinking, lean startup, and agile scrum. And this was very important for ING because it gives the tools to the people in order to go to each phase and know what to do. Now, PACE doesn't stop there. We have also our own, let's say, phases. Discovery phase, it's all about going out there, talking to clients, talking to different kind of people in order to understand or have an idea about where we need to go, what problems they might have. After you do all this analysis, and there are different ways to do, you can have design sprints, you can have a job to be done session, workshop with clients. There are many ways, to go through the discovery phase. Then you move to the problem fit, which basically what you do there. You go to the problem space and you try to think about all kinds of problems that this customer segmentation might have. You list them all down and you pick up one. You try to validate with a few clients, if it's possible, or with this customer segmentation, if this is a problem that the customers, really have. If you get singles that, okay, this is something we can, tackle, then you move to the solution feed, which is all about the solution space and making list of all the solutions that you can think of. As I said before, quantity over quality. Be creative, be crazy, and think about all the ways you can solve a problem. Then narrow it down to one or two ideas and start maybe build, a prototype, a mock-up, something that you can validate and test basically if this is a solution that, it's something that people are interested in. Then once you have like a good solution, maybe an MVP, you go to the market fit where you test, maybe you do a pilot with a couple of clients or potential clients, and you also validate your business model. So what is your unique value proposition? Is this something that the customers are understanding and they are willing to give money, for example, to buy this product? And once you have positive results there, then you're going to scale your solution. Either at ING, we create companies out of products, or we scale the solution internally. Now, this might sound as a linear approach, but it's not linear at all. And of course, you can jump through phases, or you need to go back. For example, you might have a solution and you really think that this is going to work, but when you test it with your real customers or with potential customers, you find out that they don't understand it. Then you can either iterate within the solution fit space, or you might need to go back to the problem space and say, okay, do I need to approach this differently? Is it really the first problem that we are going to tackle? Then, so what I'm trying to say here is that this pace phase, don't see it as a linear as it looks here. You can jump. What I've never seen from discovery phase to jump to solution phase, or to jump, I don't know, from solution fit directly to scaling. I've seen the other way back, from scaling maybe to go back to problem fit, but not, from discovery really go to market fit or scaling. Now,
Konstantina,
yes.
Harry has a question whether actually this is a waterfall with stages that holds agile inside of each stage.
If you mean if this is no, so this is just a guideline. This is just like to know what is coming next, and also in ING we attach some timelines for each stage. For example, problem fit could be 3 to 6 months, because we are a big company. We cannot just spending money forever. It's just an idea to see like what is coming next. It's not waterfall, because you do many things and you can ideate back and forth. And maybe, as I said, you can be on the market fit and go back to the problem fit. It's more as a guideline to understand, okay, where I'm going. Does this answer your question, or whoever asked the question?
If there is a yes, Harry says
okay.
Yes.
Yes, perfect. So as I said, this is not linear. It's not like I go to discovery, then to problem fit, then to solution fit, then market fit. It's just to give you a guidance and, like a path that you potentially would like to follow. Now, as I said, this is nice. And, like we understood what is PACE and what is made of. It combines service design, experimentation, and Scrum. And it has these phases and, all good in theory, basically, right? What about a couple of examples or real products that we had here at ING and we worked on? So let me explain a couple of products or projects that I worked on or my colleagues worked on. And these are really real products, and I can provide you links or you can Google them yourself. So the first one, ID chain or identity chain. Identity chain is a decentralized identity solution, and it was meant to be a POC that proves that distributed ledger technology, or widely known as blockchain, can be used to solve identity problems. So this product, it started in our innovation team, in the blockchain team of ING, and it went up to market fit, where we really wanted to see if identity problems that exist out there can be solved with this technology. That was the scope of the project. And it stopped there because we realized that the market, maybe it's not ready to trust this technology for these kind of problems, because identity, it's a really important thing for the people. Now, the next one, and the really interesting one, is Fin. Fin started as a really small project in ING, and it became, in the scaling phase, its own company. So you can Google about Fin. It's in the field of Internet of Things, so IoT. And what they're trying to do, Fin creates software that allows smart devices to make autonomous payments on behalf of users. And also, what is interesting on this company is that they experiment a lot with the business model. So they're proposing a pay-per-use model. Another example, it's HQLAX. HQLAX, it's a company that I think it's headquartered. It's either in Zurich or Luxembourg. I don't remember that properly. And basically, ING co-developed the product with this company. So some of our developers joined the HQLAX developers, and they created a solution together. And HQLAX, what they do, they enable market participants to transfer ownership of securities across collateral pools. Again, this is a DLT or blockchain solution. And the interesting part, it was how we follow pace between two companies. So not only collaboration between ING teams, but also outside ING. Now, another interesting product, it's the invisible tickets. And again, it started as a service inside ING and became its own company. And what they are trying to do, and this is really interesting, at least for me, is that they use sensor or on our mobile phones to figure out what journeys we take, either with tram, either with trains, either with metro. And they are trying to figure out the route that you take in order to do a payment for you, and you don't need to take any ticket. I personally, I find this really innovative because when I travel, I lose my tickets all the time. And actually, once I was stuck in a train in Germany, and I couldn't go take my flight because I had to pay a fine first because I couldn't find my ticket. So lessons learned. Another great example that actually was the time that it was developed, it was really almost next to my desk. It's Katana. And Katana, it started really as a product inside ING. And because we couldn't scale it inside ING, it became its own company with headquarters in London. And Katana is a web-based application that uses predictive analytics to help bond investors to make faster and sharper decisions in a few minutes. And this is a machine learning AI solution. Now, the reality is that not all of us work on an environment that we need to figure out a new product like invisible tickets or Katana or in the field of IoT. The reality is that many people, like me included, we have a product and we just need to figure out what is the next thing we are going to work on. What is the next important feature to add on this product? And actually, one of the products I work now, it's in, again, a core banking product. I don't know if anyone is familiar, but I'm working on trade finance. So one of the product is bank guarantees, which is a traditional finance product. And it wasn't touched for many years. And now at ING, we are trying to digitalize that product. And again, in many steps, in order to find what is the next thing that we are trying to solve, we use PACE. And we use the tools that PACE gives us in order to figure out what is the next thing that customers want to use, customers want us to solve. And actually, in one of the interviews I did with clients, I was going to them with something I had in mind that I really thought I nailed their needs and what they really want to see. And after talking to 5 of them, I realized that I was completely in the wrong direction and I had to change my strategy and really listen them and, understand the problem that they had and solve that problem. So what I'm trying to say is that PACE, at least in my experience, is used not only for finding new ideas and new products, but also in products that already exist. Are there any questions so far?
Constantino, I have a question. Actually, could you tell us a little bit more about the approach that PACE methodology is providing for figuring out what are the next best features to build for the existing product?
Yes. So basically, as I said, if I go, yes, here. So in the product that I will give you the example of the product I was working and why empathy was really important. So when I when I started on working on this product, I had to understand what it already does. And while I looking at it and try to play around it, I thought that the interface wasn't really clear what it's doing. And I thought, okay, I came with the idea. I thought the problem is that the interface, the UI is really bad. And let's do a couple of, UX workshops to, to bring the steps from 10 steps, let's say, to request something to 2 steps or 3 steps. And with that, I went to the client and I was really excited to show, look what we did. Basically, we created the form that it was 10 steps with 1 million, fields that you need to do in 3 steps. And all these were ideas that, the PACE provided us. It said, do mockups, do experimentation, do testing, all the kind of things. But what was the most important that PACE taught me, it was empathy and listening to the clients. During that interview, I really understand that the problem, it wasn't what what the client was seeing in this UX form. The problem was that we were telling them we will process the request in 3 days, but in reality, the processing time was 9 days. So this really shifted the way we, we were trying to solve things for the client. I really had to listen, and this is something I learned, from design thinking and the PACE coaches that explain. Really listen. You go to a client with something, maybe while talking to them, while doing this interview, you figure out something else. So I think the most important, let's say, at least for me and in my experience, it was really this empathy and being customer centric that PACE taught me. Now, in terms of tools, like for example, if we use InVision for testing or A/B testing, all these kind of things, this really depends on the product and or the services that you're trying to build. PACE coaches and PACE methodology have a list of tools that we can use, and then we go and pick up the ones we need, and we create our own recipe. Does this answer your question?
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Konstantina. There are a few more questions in the chat. Yeah. I think we can continue with the presentation and then yes, address all these questions in the Q&A part. So please keep posting your questions and we will answer all of them during the Q&A.
Yes, yes. Bear with me, I don't have a lot of slides. So then, I mean, you are listening to me now and you will think like, but why ING had to do this PACE? Why they didn't go to people and say, look, you use design thinking for this, you use, lean startup for that, Scrum Agile, to deliver. Why you had to invent PACE? And this is a great question that I also had. So why was that important? In ING, this is a change. And when you want to introduce a change, it's important that everybody speaks the same language, in this case, the same innovation language. And why that was important? Imagine me as a product manager going to another product manager on the other side, of the building or the world in some cases, and start telling like, oh, I did these interviews with a client and I want to experiment with this. And they will think you like, okay, what is experimentation? Why you really need this? Like, why you're bothering with me? Just start building it. So it was really important for us to have like our own innovation language that everybody understands. Then, by having this mindset, because all this like design thinking, lean startup, agile scrum, it's a mindset. It really drives innovation culture in ING. You really start thinking crazy. As I said, during ideation sessions, we said, just think all the crazy things that come in mind and don't let, that stop you. Just put down in a piece of paper, anything, that you can think. And that's where, crazy innovation and cool things come. I don't think that anybody, just went and said, oh, tomorrow let's make automotive and autonomous cars. They start like thinking and then they ended up on that. So it really drives innovation culture, at least in ING. And it really helps on, we are a learning organization, and these methodologies really help us learn. And it really helps us with validating our ideas and our assumptions, which is really, really important. Now, that are the benefits, let's say, or the good things in the organization. But what about the products and the services we develop? Now, because we use these methodologies and we develop something in increments and we iterate and we measure basically what's happening around us, we go really fast to the market. We start small with a small MVP. Maybe it's just a landing page like Dropbox did. Are people going to understand this? So we really go to the market fast and we really test our ideas. And because we go there really fast and test our ideas, it means that we reduce also waste. And what does that mean? You saw examples here that I show, like maybe 5, 6 examples, and that they were successful, right? We have another 100 examples that really we kill because either the market wasn't there or the people weren't ready, or it was a crappy solution at the end of the day. So it really reduces waste. And because we go through this, cycle of, thinking about the client, really, really what they want and what they feel, and coming up with some ideas and validate them again and again and again, we really increase chances of success, because it means at the end of the day, if you do a couple of experimentations, you really understand what the customer wants, and that means it increases the chances of success of your product or the service in this case. Now, a couple of things that I would like you to take with you. This is not a presentation to tell you that PACE is gonna solve all your problems, and if you follow PACE, you know you're gonna build the next Uber or a Tesla company. This is a presentation to tell you that ING didn't know what to start. It just adopt things. Like, for example, we started with Scrum. We thought like, okay, Scrum is not enough. We went to design thinking. Well, design thinking wasn't enough. We went to lean startup, and we iterate this and adapt it in our needs. Now, there might be a company that's very good in experimentation. They might have amazing A/B testing platforms. They might like really nail the experimentation, but they might be lacking on the way that they figure out problems. Then, yeah, go and pick up things from design thinking or product discovery or design sprints in order, to understand more about customers and problems and adapt that in your needs. So always adopt something that it's out there. You don't need to reinvent the wheel, and adopt it in your own needs and what you are trying to do. Then the second thing, fall in love with the problem, not the solution. I've seen many product people and teams, including myself, that we really get in love with the solution. We start building, we adding features, but the numbers don't go up. So for example, we add a feature that we think it's gonna convert our customers and they're gonna pay, but these numbers is not changing over 6 months. Instead of, adding more features and, trying again and again, go back and think, am I solving the right problem? Is the client or customer interested in solving this problem for him? Is this really important for him? So really fall in love with the problem and not the solution, because you might have to kill your solution. And if you are really in love with the solution and you think it as your baby, then that is not going to happen, and you waste time and resources. The third thing, continuous discovery is key to innovation. And for this, I would like to give you an example. Now, that doesn't mean I'm an Apple fan, by the way. So a couple of years ago, Apple solved the problem of music with introducing an iPod, and it had this catchy phrase, 1,000 songs in your pocket. Now, really good. They did that, I don't need to carry my CD or I don't know what other storage of music you had. So all good. But they didn't stop there. After that, they put music on your phone, and you had, you could carry your phone and you had your music. And a couple of years later, they introduced the Apple Watch, and inside there, they put a feature that you could have even more songs, in this case, as the ad was saying, 40 million songs on your wrist. So what I'm trying to say is that just because this worked once, don't stop there, because if you stop there, then someone else, will innovate better than you. Now, if you want to learn a bit more about or understand a bit more about design thinking, lean startup, and agile, I put here some links, and Alex is going to share these slides later. My favorite one about design thinking is in Vision. They have a great video and a great, introduction to design thinking. For lean startup, I would recommend, if you are really new to this, go to Open Classrooms. They have a course, and it's for free, that they give you a lot of ideas of how, have this entrepreneur, mindset. They give a lot of examples of MVP. Like for me, MVP is not, to write a single code and a single line of code and create a product. It's what Dropbox did. How you can, start before, how you can start validating ideas before, involve the team and make them create something and spend times of, putting something in production, testing, going through legal and risk. So how you can do these things, how you can test things with an MVP that doesn't even need that. And obviously, for people that like reading, there is the book of Eric that wrote about lean startup, and it's a really nice book if you would like to read. About Agile, I think nowadays more of us are familiar with Agile, Scrum, Kanban, but I found this article really nice that gives you, like a really nice overview of all the methodologies out there. And of course, there is, if you want to understand and read again about PACE, I put my link. It's a Medium article I wrote about PACE. And now feel free to reach out. Let me play my GIF. Either in LinkedIn or Medium. I'll be happy to answer any of your questions, or if you need anything you want to discuss with me that we will not cover today, feel free to reach out. I'm open and I'll be happy to help you. So that was it. Thank you for listening, and I'm happy to take any of your questions.
Thank you very much, Constantino. Then would you mind unsharing the screen, and we will go into the Q&A.
If my mouse comes back.
Okay,
Yeah.
great. So there are a couple of questions, and two of them, I think I can combine those. So Sibida was asking which departments and business units are applying PACE, and Harry also asked what roles exist in PACE.
Yes, really good question. So this started as an innovation methodology. So in ING, we have an innovation, let's say, department that experiments with new technologies and new products. So it started from there. But the last years, we give, so we have PACE coaches, and these PACE coaches, they give trainings to the whole organization. And why that is important, it's because, as I said before, let's say I'm making a solution for financial markets, and then I go to financial markets product manager and I say, okay, can you block some time for experimentation? And he will be like, what you're talking about? Why we have to experiment? Or what? Or let's say I want to validate these assumptions. He will be, okay, is there another way? Why I need to give you one sprint? So this was really important, for ING to have, as I said, one language. Now, regarding the roles, as I said, we have PACE coaches, that they are the people that help us understand what is out there. So, for example, what are the tools to do interviews, for example, with clients? What are the tools to innovate, to experiment? So we have the PACE coaches. Then we have the product managers, which are responsible, for a service that is going to be built or a product to be built. We have UX team. Depending on the product, for example, if it's an analytics product, we will have our machine learning engineers. And depending on the technology, we might have, people that are expert on, in this case, I said blockchain. This is, we need expert on this, for example. Then again, depending on the stage, we might involve legal, marketing, and these kind of things. And what is an important role, at least in my view, it's something that we call sponsor. And the sponsor of the product, or the idea in this case, it's the person that really understand the business. Even more, it's something like a subject matter expert, but he's also, there to help us navigate through the organization. And he really believes in the product, and he help us with talks with people inside ING. So these are the roles, more or less, that we have.
Great. Then I would have a follow-up question to that, actually. So, do you have teams that operate within using PACE methodology, and teams that operate outside of PACE? And in this case, do you have dependencies between those teams, and how do you handle those dependencies?
Yes. So as I said, yeah, we have teams, especially in the innovation department, that they use PACE a lot. We have teams that they use a lot lean startup a lot. And in the core banking, the main, let's say, methodology that is used is Scrum. Now, there are not big dependencies. It's only when, you have to go and ask something or collaborate. But then we have PACE coaches that they help us, or before a meeting, they send I don't know, a e-learning, a newsletter or something, so people can understand what we talk about. So we don't have a lot of difficulties in this case, but it's also because I think I believe at this moment everybody knows about this in the bank, and that was really important, to get familiar.
All right, thank you. And talking about the learnings, like the lessons learned, what is the approach to team learning and knowledge sharing between the teams that you're undertaking in ING? How do you make sure that the lessons learned stay in the team and also are shared with other teams?
Yes. Very good question. So, as I said, we have PACE coaches that they really understand the framework. And in each project or service or product that we are trying to deliver, PACE coaches are assigned to the team. And some of them, depending on the complexity, they are full-time, and some others, they are part-time, and we just have maybe weekly catch-ups. And these PACE coaches, this PACE coach role is really important because they understand, they are responsible understanding all the problems that the framework has and improve it. And as I said before, we have phases. So they gather lessons learned from each phase. For example, let's say for problem fit, I use, I don't know, something really innovative, a methodology or, a tool that it wasn't used before in ING. They are responsible to gather this information and update our e-learnings, and also, maybe send a newsletter saying, like, look, this team tried this and they solved it with this. So we really depend on the PACE coaches that they gather the lessons learned and, improve the version of the PACE, and improve, if it's possible, the e-learnings and add that there. Also, when we close a product, and especially if it's a product that we are not going to continue, it's really important to see what went wrong. So for example, let's say we didn't validate a lot of the problem. We didn't ask, let's say, the questions. We have, let's say, a page of questions, and we thought, okay, this we know more or less 90%. We make sure that next time, we really answered these questions and we're really sure about what we are going to do without skipping any step of the process. So, as I said, I think in order to scale this, in order to have the lessons learned, the most important role is the PACE coaches that we have.
Great, thank you. And there is a question also in the chat from Harry. How do you get funding for each project or product?
Very good question. So within innovation, we have something that is called the Innovation Fund. And basically, people like me, like product managers, will go and pitch our idea or product or service. And basically, we will have an innovation and we will have a funding for the problem fit. That means I have all the tools and all the resources to go out there and do interviews with this budget. When I collect my results, then I will go again to the Innovation Fund and say, look, I learned this, I learned ABCD, and I think the direction to go is this. Maybe I convince them, maybe not. That means maybe I need to go again back to the, problem fit space, or maybe I move to the solution phase. And for that solution phase, maybe I need more budget. So again, it's some kind of validation, because if you don't convince people about, your service, how customers are going to buy it if people that really believe and really want to see you successful are not buying it? So we have this innovation fund, so we really work as startup inside ING that they help us, and there are many cases that they say no, actually, because our ideas were not validated very good. So we have this innovation fund.
Thank you. And we have also a question related to the back and forth iterations between PACE phases. So how are the back and forth iterations between PACE phases affecting the overall planning? How do you handle the situations when the teams have to get back to an earlier stage? Does that mess up your roadmaps?
Yes. So as I said, all these PACE, it's a mindset. And that means we need to train also management and the teams that things can change. And you really need to be comfortable with this, because one day you might have a product and one day maybe your product is killed. This is part of the innovation. So we really trying to have this mindset as inside ING, like me included. You might work on something for 2 months and then you figure out you're really going through the wrong direction. You really need to be flexible and change that. That means that also management need to understand that. Okay, we tell you we're going to deliver ABC by the end of June, but it's better, to stop that and change our plans instead of delivering something that nobody's going to use. Like why it will be important if I deliver on time, the perfect feature or the perfect product, but nobody's going to use. There's no point. So this is really a mindset that we try, to bring through all the organization, that yeah, we have a roadmap, we have a plan, but the more we work on it, the more we learn, and we might need to change that. And that's, really need to be comfortable with that.
Great. So we are approaching the end of the Q&A session time, and one final question. One final question is actually from Steven. What do the letter space represent? What does the name mean? What do the letter space represent?
I think it's pace, like a rhythm. I asked that the first time on my pace training, and actually it doesn't mean anything like PAC. It's just like a rhythm, pace. So really good question. I had that also in my training.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Konstantina, for the great presentation and for the
thank you all for listening and for inviting me here today.
I will stop our recording now, and then we can have, please feel free to use the raising a hand option. If you like to switch on your cameras, switch on your microphone, and ask questions or share something, some comments, some feedback, then please go ahead. We are 23 people, so that it will not be possible for everybody to speak, but if you really like to, then please go ahead. And
yes, please feel free to ask me anything, or if you think something later, feel free to contact me on LinkedIn or Medium. And also feel free to give me any feedback, because it's the first time I give this presentation outside ING. And I really believe in PACE and the tools that it provides. So feel free to give me feedback on that too.